Hey y'all, if you're watching this video and you are currently fundraising for your nonprofit or fundraising for your salary, this video is for you, so keep watching. I am currently fundraising for my salary at my church, and I just want to share a little bit about my experience as well as some practical ways that may be helpful for you if you are also trying to fundraise. So I started fundraising just this past year because I really want to work full-time at my church, and I believe in the work that I'm doing and that I'm exactly where God wants me to be right now. And in order for me to pursue that, I do need full-time hours and I do need full-time income to provide for my family. So if this sounds like a similar situation that you're currently in, this video is definitely for you. I want to focus on 3 things in this video that I think are very helpful as you're fundraising for your nonprofit or for your salary. I am mostly going to focus on my experience with fundraising for a salary, but I do believe that a lot of the tips and suggestions that I give could also be practical for someone who's just fundraising for their nonprofit or organization. One thing that I think is really important to do on a daily basis is to pray, is to seek God through this whole journey because it's not easy. It takes a lot of vulnerability and understanding that you are doing God's work. It took me a little while to understand that I was doing work for the Lord. I'm asking people to partner with me for the work that I'm doing to help build up the kingdom. Versus if you have the mindset that you're just asking people to pay your salary, it's more than that, it's bigger than that. So it's good to really give it to God and allow Him to give you the understanding of what you're asking for and why you're asking for it. I think it's really important to have that firm foundation in Him as you're doing your fundraising. So as I was explaining that prayer is really important, I was also explaining that it's really important to have the understanding of the work that you're doing and why you're doing it. And those are 2 of the 3 things that I think is really important as you're doing this work and as you're fundraising. The 3rd thing I would say is to be organized. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about organization than I did with the prayer in understanding the work that you're doing, because I think it's really important to be organized. And I believe as long as you're organized, everything else will fall into place for you. At the beginning of my fundraising journey, I talked a lot with my pastor and he helped me process a lot of these things and he walked through a lot of it with me. And one thing that he highly recommended was for me to read this book called The God Ask. And I completely agree with the importance of this book. I think it lays a really good, clear understanding of what you're doing and what you're fundraising and how to fundraise and all the different things. I will be completely honest, I did not read through the entire book, but I did skim to sections that I thought were really important for me to get a grasp on as I am fundraising. So I would highly recommend getting this book, and I'll put it in the description below so that if you are interested in looking into it, you can just click it and get the book. So when it comes to being organized, outside of the reason on why you're doing the fundraising that you're doing, I think it's really important to know the amount that you're trying to fundraise. It's good to know how much you want to raise within an entire year, and then also how much you need to raise on a monthly basis to sustain your income or to just supply the needs of the organization that you're trying to fundraise for. In this book, The God Ask, they really help you write everything out in a practical way so that when you are asking people to partner with you financially, they can see the numbers and have a clear understanding of what you're asking for in different ways that they can partner with you. For example, if you had 2 people partnering with you $200 a month, and then maybe you'll have 3 people partnering with you for $100 a month, and then 10 people partnering with you for $50 a month, and then 15 people partnering with you for $25 a month. When you lay this out in front of the people that you're asking to help support you, it allows people to see that 1, you're organized, 2, you know exactly what you're asking for, and 3, it just gives them options on practical ways that they can help partner with you. Sometimes when people see that, okay, if I can donate $25 a month and that you're giving them numbers, it allows them to make a decision easier rather than them trying to guess or trying to calculate how much they can give you, or it just helps clarify and give a clear understanding of what you're doing and what you're asking for. So once you have the amount of money that you're trying to raise on a yearly and monthly basis, then it's really good to organize and list out the people that you want to ask. This allows you to see and remember who you've spoken to, who you wrote letters to, who you followed up with, in a very organized way rather than trying to remember all the things in your head and then maybe having someone get missed. So I would highly recommend starting a spreadsheet with different tabs. One tab can have all the financial information on it, and then the next tab could have all the people on it. I would highly recommend, as you list out each name in one column, and then in the following columns next to their names, you can list out different columns that have titles such as reached out to them via phone call, reached out to them via mail by sending them a letter, and reached out to them via email with a newsletter. And then you can also list out any email addresses that you collect, any addresses, any phone numbers, just so that everyone that you're talking to and communicating with, all of their information is on one sheet, and it's easy for you to find and easy for you to copy and paste that information to wherever you need it to go. After you listed out your people and made a chart of the ways you want to communicate with them, now it's important to create those ways that you're going to communicate. If you're someone who can go in front of someone and just wing it, that's great. But if you're someone who needs to prep and practice what you're going to say before you actually get on the phone or get on a Zoom with that person, now is the time to write everything out and have bullet points on what you want to say just to make sure nothing is missed. And going back to this book, they give a very practical way on how to ask people and how to present yourself. They even prompt you with questions on what to say. So I highly recommend writing things out on what you want to say to the individuals, just to make sure that your communication is clear and that nothing gets missed. I think a really nice way to also reach people is by sending them a mail newsletter. This may be a one-time thing because over time it can become costly if you do this on a consistent basis. But maybe like once a year, you just send out one letter to everyone that you're communicating with or that you want to reach out to or that you think will partner with you. So this way they can see something tangible and know that you're organized and know that you're serious about what you're doing. And then outside of sending out mail, a very cost-effective way to communicate and give updates to the people who you want to reach out to, who already are helping partner with you financially, or just people that you want to keep up to date with what you're doing. A practical way is to create an email newsletter. And your email newsletter can look any way that you want it to. Some things that I would encourage you to include is updates about the work that you're doing or what the organization has going on. For example, I'm working at my church. I'm fundraising for my salary. So I shared a lot of details on what I've been doing in the past year for the newsletter that I'm sending out in January. It's just a quick overview of some important highlights that happened in the past year of me working at the church, as well as a few things that I'm looking forward to in 2026. It also includes some numbers and praise reports from the church to show the growth of the church and to show what the church currently has going on. And in my newsletter, I also included a few personal things that are going on within my family, just to make it more personable and not all about work. Also in my newsletter, I included prayer requests, maybe for the people who want to be praying for me that can't necessarily support me financially. It also allows them to be included on my journey because prayers are important. Like I said, one of the top things that you're gonna have to do while you're fundraising is pray. So having more people pray for you and pray with you is very helpful and very encouraging. And you just never know how God can bless you through that. And then also in a newsletter, you just want to, again, create a way for people to give if they are able to give. It's really easy if you put a link in your newsletter so that way they can just click and give if they're able to give. And after you have these conversations with people and they make decisions, if they can or they can't support you financially, it's really important to still continue to follow up with those people. If they can't support you financially, maybe you can ask them, hey, is it okay if I still include you on the newsletter that I have going out monthly? Or is it still okay if I give you updates through the mail? So that way it's a practical way that they can still be involved in your journey, even if they're not necessarily helping you when it comes to the financial support that you need. And then if you do have people who say yes, I would highly encourage you to send thank you letters. I think it's just a very intentional and personal way that you can just show your gratitude. And again, I just want to reiterate the 3 things that I think are really important is prayer, understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and being organized. This is my first time ever having to fundraise for my salary. I didn't even know it was a such thing as fundraising for your salary. I've never worked in nonprofit full time or desired to work in nonprofit full time until this past year. So it is definitely a learning process for me, but on my journey, I feel like I'm learning a lot of helpful things that may be helpful to some other people who also are doing similar things to what I'm doing. And one piece of advice that I found to be the most helpful during this is don't answer for someone. I think it's really easy for us to assume that someone is not going to say yes or someone is not going to support you financially, but you really don't know until you ask. And I think it also allows God to work in ways that we can't even imagine, because you may ask someone to help support you and that person may be the one that surprises you the most. And then you may ask people who you think are going to give easily and then they don't. But then the people that you don't think would give do. So you just never know how God is going to work. And I think it's really easy for us to assume that someone wouldn't support us or someone wouldn't say yes, or just making those decisions for people, but we really can't. It is really hard being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. But in the end, you just never know how you're going to be blessed through your journey. So if you're watching this and you're fundraising, just know that I'm praying for you and know that I'm encouraging you. If you have any questions or you need any clarification on anything that I've said in this video, definitely comment below. I respond to all the comments. So please comment below, and I just hope that this video was helpful for someone and that you feel encouraged. Thank you so much for watching this video, and be good.